Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Tool Talk TV. I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Jonathan Collier, Managing Director of Monument Tools. Enjoy today's episode. Guys, thanks for joining me on this episode of Tool Talk TV. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Adam Callow from Tool Talk. And if you haven't watched the previous video that we shot, it was giving you an introduction to all things Monument Tools. And this video is about the Monument Masters. So, Jonathan.
Adam.
We've seen a lot about the Monument Masters in the last 2 years, and I've been really close to it as a brand personally. We've done lots of work with you, thoroughly enjoyed it. Just share with me what the Monument Masters is from your perspective.
Great question. It's been an interesting challenge over the last few years bringing products to market, and whether we're bringing products to market through a wholesaler or a distributor or in an export market, or even in the UK through retail or through merchants, and more recently online. We're good at designing products and we're pretty good at manufacturing products. One of the hardest things that we have is actually trying to sell products into the marketplace. Part of that comes from not really knowing what people want. So with the help of you guys, we've put together a group of what we call the Monument Masters. So we've got groups of engineers who are dotted around the country and now around the world. So we've got a group in Hackbridge, where our factory is. We've got a group in Birmingham. We've got a group in Leeds. We've certainly got a group in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin, in the USA. And we're hoping to put together groups, or proper groups, once the world repairs itself, in Australia, New Zealand, and others in the USA.
Just a quick one to interrupt. I understand the thought process behind why having groups outside of the UK makes sense. Why do you want different groups throughout the UK itself?
It's really interesting that the way that regionality occurs in our sector. I never had a concept of really how regional the world was. We looked at one particular product last year, which we looked to bring to market, and in the south, it was a popular product that we were trying to design it for, but in the north, nobody had heard of the product and there were no sales. So potentially, if we just only looked in the south of the UK, we would have launched a product which would have been completely useless in the north of the UK. So that regional variation does occur, and it occurs in other ranges as well.
And I sort of heard that you guys have the ability to design, manufacture. I've seen the machinery. It's all very impressive stuff that you've got going there 24 hours a day. And I guess you have to choose what goes into the machinery.
Yep.
How does the Masters actually play into that decision-making process? Like, what if I was a Master today, what would I experience from being part of the Masters?
So what we want to do is, when we bring any new product to market, we want to make sure that we've got a group of engineers who can test the product. And ideally, we want to start that process potentially years in advance of bringing the product to market. So we have a concept for a new product. That concept for that new product may come from an external source, so it may come from an inventor. And we certainly work with some inventors who will talk to the masters at the same time. But we want to ensure that on day one, right at the birth of the product, that we've got the engineers, the Monument Masters, will look at the product and tell us whether it's a good idea. Some of the meetings that we've had have been very interesting, where we'll walk in with a product, and I certainly remember one specific product and one engineer who just said, absolutely no way, there is no way on earth I am using that product. And 35 minutes later, he said, that's amazing. So it's trying to get over that initial hurdle with engineers who may not have seen a product and not quite understand it. But then once they're convinced that the product is viable, we will then potentially take it forward and then try design it better, manufacture it, and then ultimately market it better.
I think there's an interesting piece there is when an engineer sees a product, they have that visceral reaction because they know what they know, and outside of that is often, I don't want change. And I was actually part of that 35-minute swap around, and I think the most interesting thing then is you can actually hear what the developer has said, the designer of this product, whether it's you or an inventor, and hearing what they have to say to actually say, well, no, Mr. Installer, that's not the use case, it's this. And then you see that light bulb moment, then you can take that as a brand and say, well, that's how we need to position this product. When we talk about positioning the product in the range, is it fair to say that everything that lives under the Monument Masters range of products has gone through this process that you're talking about?
Okay, so since we started the Monument Masters, which is, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, it feels 4 or 5 years ago.
About
maybe.
2015, 2016.
we've put through a significant number of products into them. So whether that be inventors turning up and showing them products, whether that be products that we've actually brought to market, but we will try and ensure that everything that we're bringing to market goes through those guys. Whether it ends up actually as a Monument Masters branded product, so we've got the tool case, we've got a new product that's being launched very soon called the Sweatbox, or whether it's the plastic pipe cutters. The plastic pipe cutters have ended up in a Monument branded range of products, but there are some products that we will want to purely brand Monument Masters. And that gives the guys who turn up as Monument Masters some credibility that they've helped design and ensure that those products are as good as they can be.
I guess it's quite comforting for you because they kind of take all the guesswork out of it. Because I guess, and I'm putting words into your mouth here, so shoot me down if I'm wrong, but if you can demonstrate to a merchant, as an example, that, hey, this isn't an idea we've had that we think will work. This is an idea we've had and we've had it validated by your exact target customer. You've de-risked it for you and you've de-risked it for the merchant. So that's fair?
I think incredibly fair. There's two parts to that. So the way the world used to be then and the way the world is now. I remember specifically going into one distributor, I'm going to say 15 years ago, and saying we've designed a new product, put a lot of research into it, it's a really good product. And the initial feedback from them was, we don't sell any of those, it won't work as a product. And you'll take products into a merchant and they'll go, oh, we've got a new product, and now our sales team will go around and talk to merchants on a daily basis. You'll go into a merchant with the new products and they go, no, never sold any of those. No, you don't get any call for that. And you get that immediate block of people not wanting to buy a product, even though we think that we've developed a very good product. The way the world is now, what we want to try and develop is a pull through. So because we can engage with the Monument Masters, but then also their peer group. So whether that's in a closed Facebook group, whether that's through Twitter, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through Facebook, we can then get peer reviews on those products. If you're then getting people to, as we previously said, to ask for Monument, they can then actually go in and say, I want to buy this product from you. And certainly with the pipe bender, with its launch, which has been pretty successsul, we are now getting...
Bit of an understatement there.
Well, yeah, it's a good product. What we're seeing is, because of the way that engineers buy their products, they want to buy products from a merchant, and we genuinely want them to go in and ask for Monument. But I would, not that I can prove it, but I would hazard a guess if we'd taken that product directly to merchants, they would have said, no, why would I want that? I sell product X and I'm not going to change.
You've done all the heavy lifting. You create the demand for a product and now all of a sudden they can pick it up from the shelf. You've done that piece of work. People watching this right now are going to be thinking, actually, this sounds pretty cool. I'm an engineer. I want to join this club. Sounds like something I'm involved in. I can really add my shape and ideas to the industry. What makes a Monument Master for you? Before I share with these guys how they could potentially apply, what actually makes a really good Monument Master in your view?
Desperately want the guys to turn up to be honest about products. It's fundamental that we bring products to market that do save them time, that are fit for purpose. So we would just demand a level of honesty and a level of interaction. If you go back to being in a school classroom, you'll have people who sit at the front and always put their hand up. You'll have people who sit in the middle who, if they are asked a question, will probably answer the question. And then you've got guys who will hide at the back and never say anything. I don't want the guys who hide at the back. I want the guys who want to actively engage and understand why the product does this and why can't you change it to that and why have you done this and why have you done that. That's what we need, is that interaction. But also to be brutally honest about it. And if they say, no, that's a terrible product, and the consensus is it's a terrible product, we just don't bring it to market.
Yeah, it saves you a lot of heartache 18 months later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's that term that we both like, is that positive friction, which is you want people in a room that can give their views, but also hear the other views. To that point, that product's never going to work. 35 minutes later, they've listened and then
absolutely
been allowed to have their view shaped. So on that note, guys, it's a great opportunity for me to say that if you are actually interested in becoming a Monument Master, there is a link in the description, wherever you're watching this video, that will take you to a page which has got a form. So what we're looking for is plumbing and heating engineers that would like to be part of product innovation in the plumbing, heating, hand tool space. It's an amazing group to be part of, and yes, I'm biased because we've been involved in it for the last 4 or 5 years. But I promise you, if you get involved, it's one of those things that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. If that sounds interesting to you, click the link below, and we look forward to hearing from you. JC, anything else to add from a master's perspective?
No, we want to grow the masters group. We've got 3 groups in the UK, 1 in Australia, 1 in New Zealand, 1 in the States. We desperately want to grow those groups because we know that if you look at Scotland, there may be regional differences there. We want to do 1 in Ireland, so we know that there are specific differences with the way that copper pipe is sized in Ireland, so we want a group over there. And we want to expand it. And with anything, you get people who drop in and drop out, and there's a queue of people who want to come in. It's a good experience. It helps us massively, and I really hope that because we're branding the products Monument Masters, the guys who are part of that feel that they've really helped shape some products that are in the marketplace.
There you go, guys. Click the button below if you're interested, and look out for the next video with Monument Tools on Tool Talk TV.